Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this Thursday. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. Operations at Montana's largest coal mine, which employs about 280 workers, coming to a halt.
So those 280 employees at the Spring Creek mine north of Decker are without work tonight. And the new owner is telling Q2 they shut down the mine over a disagreement with state regulators.
Now, the key issue, the new owners do not have a permit to operate the mine.
The Navajo Transitional Energy Company, or NTEC, bought out Cloud Peak Energy in bankruptcy proceedings earlier this month. Now, NTEC, which is owned by the Navajo Indian Nation, says Montana is demanding the Navajos agree to a complete waiver of their sovereign immunity when it comes to state mining laws.
Rebecca Harbage with the state DEQ disagrees, telling MTN News that Montana must be able to enforce state mining and reclamation laws, and that negotiations are underway.
Fortunately, it wasn't until just this week, just days before they closed on Cloud Peak's holdings, that we started in earnest to talk about negotiating the language of a waiver. Our hope is that we can move this forward as quickly as possible to ensure that operations can continue at the mine.
Now, the Cloud Peak mine produced almost 13 million tons of coal in 2017, or 35% of all coal mined in Montana.
NTEC also purchased 2 other mines in Wyoming. Both those mines received permits and are operating tonight.
A message shared by Miss Montana USA on Instagram this week stating that animal agriculture is destructive to the planet is not sitting well with some Montanans. The
Montana Stock Growers Association wasted no time responding. Q2's David J. standing by now with more on this discussion between a vegan and the beef industry. David?
Well, Russ, Jeanelle, from the post we're seeing, it has turned into a discussion. Miss Montana USA, Marissa Underwood, says she wants to be respectful, and the stock growers are looking at it as an opportunity for education. Underwood shared a meme with the statement, "Animal agriculture is the most destructive industry facing our planet today." The meme has graphics from vegan supporting organizations. The stock growers responded with a letter that states the stock growers appreciate her passion but want to correct what that organization calls misleading and inaccurate information. The letter also states that more than 96% of farms and ranches across the U.S. are family-owned and operated. The Montana Ag Network interviewed the stock growers today.
We really think it's important to share your story and share with the public what you're doing on your ranch and what makes it so great and what makes it sustainable. Those messages are always better than negative messages bashing other people. Educate, stay positive, and stay factual.
So one thing I want to make quite clear is that I'm not talking about small-scale family farms, small-scale farms. I am talking about large mass corporations. I love all the facts and everything that people are showing me, and I hope that people are open and receptive to hearing what I have to say.
The Marissa Underwood comments came from her Instagram post. Miss Montana USA stated that she would like to have conversations about ag and would be willing to tour a ranch. That was after an invitation from the stock growers. Jeanelle?
All right. Thanks so much, David. Well, a Bridger man will most likely spend the rest of his life behind bars after raping both a young girl and a woman. 56-year-old Jean Devereaux sentenced this week to 120 years in prison after being convicted of 6 felonies in July. Charges were first filed in January 2017 against Devereaux for raping the girl. She told police he began molesting her in 2005 when she was 4 years old. A second round of charges came against him when another woman came forward saying he raped her. He will be eligible for parole in 25 years when he is 81 years old.
I think it's important to the community demands that cases like this are prosecuted, and they demand appropriate sentences. And I really have the highest regard for the law enforcement that work so hard to get this done and helped us prosecute this case.
Devereaux's defense attorney called the sentence overly harsh and said he plans to appeal to the Montana Supreme Court.
Police are asking neighbors in the North Park area of Billings to be on the lookout for a couple of handguns that may have been ditched by some robbery suspects. Police responded to a report of an armed robbery in the 700 block of North 22nd Street around 4 a.m. this morning. 3 suspects were found about 3 blocks to the west with a shotgun, but police think they may have hidden 2 handguns. So they're asking residents in this area to check their property, their roofs, gutters, vehicles for guns. Police say they are concerned that a child might find one, and they ask that you call police if you do find one.
And onto the weather scene, Bob. Tomorrow looks so good, and then it just goes downhill from there.
That's exactly right. Let me show you what's going to happen tomorrow. Most of the day, sunny skies moving into the region. Let's take a look at it. But then later on in the day, here we are like at 9 p.m., there's a new cold front dropping down out of Canada, and that cold front will push all the way through the Billings area by tomorrow morning and eventually into Wyoming. And look at that, more snow falling in behind that. So because of that, we have a wind advisory, wind into effect at 6 o'clock tonight for the Beartooth foothills until 6 p.m. on Friday, winds gusting to 60 miles per hour. Meanwhile, from north central Montana, look at that. We have a high wind warning there from basically Havre down towards the Butte area. And then over there, we still have a high winter storm watch basically from around the Cutbank area all the way down towards the Great Falls area. Could see 5 to 10 inches of snow in that area. Another winter storm watch to the south of that could be up to 12 inches of snow, and a winter weather advisory for 2 to 4 inches of snow around the Kalispell area. And finally, out in the western part of the state, winds are going to be gusting about 45 to 50 miles per hour, 55 miles per hour. It's going to be a breezy day across much of Montana, and then it all goes south and winter comes in by the time Saturday night and Sunday get here. We'll have more of that coming your way in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. Well, the controversy surrounding vaping products and regulation grows every day, just as the list of confirmed sicknesses and deaths related to it. Tonight, Q2's Jenny Fick takes a deeper look.
With recent vaping injuries and deaths in the headlines, we decided to stop by Billings Clinic to speak to a pulmonologist to find out what exactly is happening inside the body when someone vapes.
So anytime you inhale something into your lungs has an immune system inside it, just like the rest of your body. And so if you were, for example, to get some kind of irritating material on your skin would turn red, it would be painful, it might itch, it might even open up the skin itself. That same inflammatory reaction can happen inside the lungs. And that's really what we're seeing with these new inhalational devices and people inhaling substances that really they shouldn't be inhaling at all. This is the scan from a patient who was actually hospitalized and placed on mechanical ventilation as a result of inhaling.
He says the aerosol produced by vaping devices is so small that it is able to penetrate through all the layers of the lung.
We're going to watch what happens when these different particle sizes get inhaled into the lungs. The little circle in the bottom right-hand corner is what's called an alveolus. It's the part of the lung where air and oxygen are actually exchanged within the blood. And so the larger particle gets stuck, and this is something like sawdust would be a good thing to think about, gets stuck in the big airways of the lung. Middle-sized particles that you would inhale down get stuck in sort of the middle-sized airways. Vaping devices produce an aerosol that's so small that it gets all the way out to the very distal parts of the lung and causes severe immune reaction.
That response causing severe illness and death.
There have been several deaths, unfortunately, because of lung inflammation that's been so severe that the damage is irreparable. For the most part, what we are seeing is with high doses of steroids and courses in the ICU, people are getting better and they're improving, but some of them, we don't know yet what the long-term effects are going to be for some of these folks. I would say don't inhale anything that's not air. Putting anything in your lungs that's not supposed to be there, just like putting anything in your body that's not really supposed to be there, has really potentially very serious side effects and can really cause potentially irreversible damage, if not loss of life.
In Billings, Jenny Fick, MTN News.
All right, now the ultimate message, quit smoking. Montana has a dedicated quit line, the Montana Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT.
Well, hundreds of smaller wildfires have swept across California in just the past few days, but none compares to the ferociousness of the Kincaid fire in Sonoma County. The state's largest utility, PG&E, said one of its transmission lines experienced problems near where the Kincaid fire erupted. The company has been enacting intentional power shutoffs in the state and is planning more, something Governor Gavin Newsom has continually rallied against. Another large blaze is burning in northern Los Angeles County, and 40,000 people have been evacuated from their homes there.
Democratic Maryland Representative Elijah Cummings lied in state today at the U.S. Capitol. He is the first African American to lie in state at the Capitol. Cummings died last week at the age of 68.
His funeral will be held tomorrow at the church he attended for nearly 40 years. Former President Barack Obama will attend and deliver the remarks. Up next on tonight's 10 o'clock news, feeling under the weather? Well, let this next story be your umbrella and have you covered when you call in sick for work.
Plus, fans around the world are flipping out for this Olympians display at the World Series.
And in sports, Huntley Project's volleyball girls are hovering around 80 straight wins. Scott shows us if they do it again on Pink Night.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.